1986, 24 Hours of Daytona, with a Hendrick Corvette that set a record of 129 miles per hour. Now out of the race with transmission problems. The new pole sitter is car number 86. This is the Bruce Levin car of Redmond, Washington. The co-drivers, Ireland's Derek Daly and Bob Wallach of France, a former winner. Going to the second starting position, it'll be car number 16, a Porsche 962, Ron Dyson's car, former SCCA champion, with Drake Olson aboard, now takes over in the second starting position with the elimination of the pole sitter. Drake Olson, the 85 sensation, is in that car, and so is Price Cobb out of Formula Atlantic competition. Coming next on the grid is car number 0, and this is Moretti and Barilla. And Barilla was the driver that won at Le Mans last year. Randy Lanier, the 1984 IMSA champion, is also in car number 0. Next on line, car number 5, the Bob Aiken car, and Hans Stuck, one of the very fastest drivers out of West Germany, a world champion in endurance competition, is in that car along with Joe Gartner. Up next is number 67. Our onboard camera is here in the BF Goodrich car. And from Laguna, California comes Jim Busby. Along with Busby for this race is the 23-year-old, 5-time winner last year in GTO, Darren Brassfield. He's out of Los Gatos. And also the Formula One star from England, Derek Warwick. Next in line is the other of the team cars, number 68, John Morton, 44 years old. What a story. He's won 8 IMSA races. He's back and ready to go today. Germany's Jochen Maas, the great Formula One star, and also in that car is Jan Lammers of Holland, a Formula One driver. Moving up for the next position, it'll be Thierry Boutsen of Belgium, and he will combine his talents with Segalza in the car number 3, another Porsche 962. The 14 car, still another 962, and it's all 962s up front, is the defending IMSA champion, Al Holbert. And with him is the 3-time Le Mans winner, Derek Bell. Al Unser Jr., runner-up in kart racing last year, as the 3rd driver on that car. Going next in line is the 12-cylinder Jaguar. And here we have Chip Robinson assisting Bob Tullius, the team manager, the organizer of this team, and the Frenchman Claude Bellalina, the 1983 Le Mans winner. Further back in the field, we come to the number 45. This is the Buick, John Paul Jr. And with him comes Chip Ganassi, the IndyCar driver, and Ivan Capelli from Italy is there. Beside them is the second of those Buick 6-cylinder cars, and the 27-year-old driver from LA, Whitney Gantz, has been assigned here along with Ken Madron, and we should see some real action here. Bob Loganberg is in that car as well. The field just beginning to roll down pit road. The second Jaguar is next, number 04, 12 Daytona wins for Hurley Haywood, one of the all-time champions. And with him comes the 76 and 81 winner of the 24-hour race, Brian Redmond, and Australia's Vern Schupan is here today. He's an experience in everything. Next, another 962. This is car number 8, and here we have A.J. Foyt, Danny Sullivan, and with them for this race is Leyendyke, the kart rookie of the year, Arie Leyendyke, in the Preston Hen car. Here you see Preston bottom there. A Porsche March comes out next for today's race. And these are the Leon brothers from Texas, and with them is Jim Fitzgerald out of North Carolina. Going further back in the field as we continue our lineup, we have a Chevy March coming next, and that is Jimmy Leeward out of Ocala, Florida. With him is Bill Adam, who will be one of our reporters today. He's going to take over some, and also Emery Donaldson, originally out of Daytona Beach. Bruce Jenner starts next, and that's the first GTO car in the race. And with him will be Scott Pruitt and Klaus Ludwig, the 76 decathlon champion in that car. Next on line comes Tommy Riggins, Steve Millian, and Elliott Forbes Robinson in the second GTO car, a Pontiac Firebird. Next in line, 17th overall on this grid, and there have been some changes now in the last moments with cars not getting an opportunity to start. Lou Price, Jim Mullen, Carson Baird are going. Then the Porsche March is up next. That's the Johnny Hotchkiss car. Jim Adam is with him, and Costas Loss is also a driver of that car. Further back in the field now, we look and we find the GTU first car out will start in 47th position. Roger Mandeville with Denny Smith and Diego Fables. In 50th position is the second GTU car. That's Reed Kendall. And then in the 51st position, the car that really put a show on here last year, Amos Johnson's car with Dennis Shaw and Jack Durham. Now, for the stock car folks in this race, the 24th position is the Mustang with Bill Elliott, Kyle Petty, Ricky Rudd, and Ken Schrader going to work. And in 26th position, the Olds of Phil Parsons and Harry Gant, along with Terry Labonte. There you see the Pachetti car that's going to be in here. They're getting set to go as we continue to roll on through the field and get set for a start here today in this 24 Hours of Daytona, the 22nd running of the event. Field is now up on the west end of the Speedway. This is the highest bank on which these cars run anywhere in their 18-19 race schedule. 31-degree bank. Then it's down that long back straightaway, wide open to a chicane which really makes you whoa them.
And one of the problems, of course, with this race is starting at this time of the day in the winter again. As you go into that west banking, you have a real problem with the sunshine. And as you come up off the east banking, under where we're here, across the start-finish line, that sun gets very, very tiring.
And David, right here we can talk about just how difficult it is to come down from those tremendous speed. Just about the hardest braking place on the track.
Very hard indeed. And you can see the shape of the chicane there. You can see where the line goes right to the edge of the road. And this is one of those places where at night it's very difficult because it's very flat and featureless. It's hard to pick it up. Difficult at night.
Let me point out to you that the green colors on this grid are Camel Light cars. The black is GTU, the red is GTO, and the prototype cars are in blue. That's a GTO car that you see there. That's the over 3-liter cars, the under the GTU, and the Camel Light cars. There were only 6 of them here last year. And remember that they had that tremendous run that started midway in the race with that little red wagon of Downing's coming from last up to second place in his class. And that car will be something to watch in that Camel Light series. Jim Downing's car.
Well, the Camel Light's become a very popular class. It's much cheaper than the big GT prototypes, and of course with so much more television now that Camel GT Racing is getting, of course it's worth sponsoring.
Willie Ribbs, you've been down here for some time practicing a NASCAR Winston Cup automobile for later this year. Your feelings about running those high banks?
Well, you know, I'm normally a road racer, but now with me in NASCAR, you know, it's a whole new world coming in to running NASCAR in the high banks. It's 31-degree bank, and you got to really know what you're doing because they're all high speed.
Green this time by, and we will be away. 70 cars were expected to start at the last moment. The pole sitter was canceled out. 3 other cars have canceled out, so we're coming back down in that number towards 66, perhaps even 65 as we get a count coming to the line.
The more out the better if you're a driver. Not so good for us, but much better for them.
Last year, there's one of the cars that's just come out. His car number 89 has fallen by the wayside before it even gets underway. One of the Porsches coming down for the start. The field under green, and the 24 Hours of Daytona is away. Twice round the clock on this 3.5-mile course. 9 turns through turn 1. Turn 2 is directly in front of the scoring stand. It's actually the second part of this wide sweeper as you come off the super speedway part of the course.
Great deal of discipline required at this part of a 24-hour race. Willie's used to driving the Trans Am cars where, you know, you've got to get the thing won in 100 miles. You tend to take chances in that type of racing. In this sort of racing, there's absolutely no point in taking a chance. But when you're in charge of an 800-horsepower car, it's kind of hard to tell the driver, don't take a chance.
Well, it's hard to, you know, because, you know, your adrenaline's flowing. You want to get out and get racing with people, but you know you can't run too fast because you got 24 hours.
Live on the Superstation, WTBS. Start of the 24 Hours of Daytona. 22nd go, up onto the banking for the first time. Beginning to unlimber, and this is the one time when you don't want to get over anxious out here.
Well, that's true, and young Drake Olson from Connecticut's got a good lead already in his first lap in his Porsche, and of course he's obviously very thankful that the BMW is in the truck on the way to Michigan, because he knows that by now he'd be about that far behind us.
Again, Cyril Vandermerber, who qualified at 121 miles an hour with the Hendrick Corvette. They had transmission problems. They had gone through 2 transmissions by yesterday. Today they developed another problem in the morning practice, and the car will not start. And that's a terrible break for American racing fans. They were hoping with Doc Bundy aboard, he was telling me yesterday, to get in 3 hours. Anything over 3 hours to them, they would deem a success, because that's as far as the car would run. Not to be the case.
Very potent car. I drove that car 2 or 3 times last year, did a lot of testing and development for them, and it's a tremendously potent car, and that Chevrolet V6 has got a good future in this sort of racing.
Olson builds up a tremendous lead, and now you're with the Jim Busby car.
Smoke coming out of Bob Aiken's car already.
Bob Aiken's car is pulled up into 3rd place. Hans Stuck aboard in the red number 5, and now you're inside of the B.F. Goodrich machine as it goes through that 1st and 2nd turn, heads for the International Horseshoe. There you see the flags of all the competitors in the race. There you see Aiken's car. Bruce Levin's machine has gone up into 2nd.
That is Terry Booson's car in the pits, I do believe.
Hootson's car down. We're back inside with Jim Busby. This team, of course, had a first and second place finish, Riverside, California, 1 year ago. The 67 car continues to gain a little ground on those two that fight. Bob Aiken's car, the red automobile, 962, getting challenged a little out here.
This is one of the things that IMSA Racing has got going for it. That is that we have a full-scale tyre war. Goodyear, of course, being the predominant tyre out there, but Bridgestone are on that second-place car, and of course the Goodrich cars, in which is our camera.
And Aiken's car is
and
on.
Of course, Aiken is on the Yokohama tyres. Yeah, and here's somebody else coming into the pits. An early, looks like a pretty serious casualty too.
Number 02 pulls on pit road. Problems on that car will eliminate it from the 20. Well, actually, they have enough time. If it's a head gasket or something, they can get themselves back in here. That is the Creeder car that's coming down. That looks a little more serious than some.
Yes, it does. It could be just a simple thing like an oil line blown off, but it could be more serious than that. And here we see Drake Olsen coming out to complete his second lap with an enormous lead over Bob Wallach, who I'm sure is playing it cool. Bit of a dogfight there for third, fourth, fifth, and sixth spot.
The third place car at the present time has been switched around and coming to the line. I think we'll see
Paolo
already.
Barilla has passed the Hans Stuck car. Stuckey here,
Back to fourth.
world endurance champion, and obviously trying to get his IMSA 86 IMSA season off to a good start.
Dave, you know, I think some of these guys are going out and trying to establish a pace here, you know, and then once they get into a groove, and try to hold it there for the endurance, you know, the race of the race, you know.
Of course, there is a lot of cars to be lapped, so if you can make up some sort of a lead early on, once you get into traffic, it can help you to pull away from that lead too.
The Leon car, the number 2 car, is now on pit road, and we're watching the number 67 closing up on the Aiken machine. Here comes Al Holbert down the inside, making a pass. Holbert in the 14 just sweeps up underneath and takes a position.
Al being a bit of a brave boy in a 24-hour race doing that. Especially when 67 was lining itself up to pass Busby. There's a great camera shot of the Holbert car. There's a go up on the back.
Well, Holbert knew that was a camera car. He just wanted to get in front.
Holbert gave it a heck of a shot last year. He had a great season, won the IMSA Championship, but was not to be in this race. After 23 hours, he fell by the wayside. They needed just another hour. Look at Busby pull up and give it a go down that back straightaway. Here they come. Hard-braking corner left is next.
And Busby now decides not to try and go past Holbert. Pretty wise move there. If you get pushed off, it's very rough. And these cars, unlike a NASCAR car, people are used to seeing NASCAR cars spin onto the grass and then carry on. Unfortunately, with these fragile, expensive races, you can't pull tricks like that because it pulls all the bodywork off and the car's pretty well finished.
Scheduled for 962s to draw away and start this race as Drake Olsen, number 16, continues to build up a lead. Bruce Levin's car running in second, and the third place car is the Moretti car. The Moretti-Lanier car has gone into third.
Ken, Drake Olsen was one of the surprises last year in IMSA GTP racing. He really came on strong. He really made his name last year, and he's starting out this year the same way as he left off.
He came from nowhere. He came in his very first GTP race was Lime Rock last May, and he won it. And they're all taking a bit of a detour there. It must have got very, very slick in that infield corner.
Watch. Let's see if we get a pass right here as Al Holbert is moving in on number 5. He may try to pass him right now. Closing up. Al Holbert getting in, closing down on the Hans Stuck car. Tries that insider. He made a move before. Not successful for the moment. Let's see what happens when they draw out onto that 31-degree banking. There goes Holbert taking another shot at that position. You're watching the fight for fourth place live here on the Superstation in the 24 hours of Daytona. Here they come onto the banking and down to the inside. It is Holbert making a move as if he's going to try and pass here. He comes to the bottom, pulls back up, rides the slipstream.
Just like the NASCAR cars, of course, you can really put that draft to use. But, of course, you don't have that long back chute to maintain it. You have to keep stopping for the corner.
Here they come. Down for the chicane.
Already getting mixed up in lap traffic, too.
You've driven with and against Hans Stuck many times. He's tough to deal with.
Well, he and I drove together in a BMW back in 1981, and yeah, he's a very flamboyant man and a very flamboyant driver, but he's got tremendous car control, great skills.
Hardest braking point of the track is turn 1, where you enter the infield portion of the course. We may see Holbert take a stab right here.
Well, they're both going past that Zach's car, the German-sponsored Yost car, the winner of Le Mans last year and the year before, and it looks like they're both going to try and take him on the high side as they go into turn 1. a favorite passing
Already,
place here.
You're watching the battle for third, and down to the inside, trying to sneak through Holbert, not getting there.
And Barilla not letting either of them get through.
It's a wonderful scramble for third place.
Ooh, ooh, you see, this is the trouble. It's very narrow there. They're getting caught up in lapped cars already, and Jim Busby is right behind Holbert again.
Through the International Horseshoe, the battle continues for third position, and we'll be back with our continuing coverage of the 24 Hours of Daytona after these messages.